Hi guys, this is my first video for the CNC critiques and comments through Instagram. My first one will be to my classmate Billy. She sent me her lovely drawings, as you can see here. So yeah, she used this mask as reference and drew this probably on her sketchbook, right? And I think she did a great job getting the shapes, getting the proportions right. We can see it's very proportional. The picture of the drawing doesn't feel a little odd because of course she probably was looking in a different angle and there might be some difference, and the picture itself is not too clear in the shades. So but I think she did a terrific job getting the proportions and getting the shapes overall, right? But as she mentioned herself to me, she thinks that the hatching is not good, and that's exactly what I would suggest to her to improve. And right now I'll show how, right? And I did a new drawing. Yeah, you can see it, copy. And because, well, as I said, her job doing the shapes and the proportion is fine, very good actually, and we need just to check the hatching, which is our focus today, and so the drawing won't matter too much. All right. So come back to the picture, and first of all I will explain one thing about hatching. Hatching is when you use the line repeatedly, filling up an area, and the objective of it is to create a mid-tone impression. When we are talking about line work, the line itself is black, which is shade, and the white of the paper should be light. So you have a black and white drawing only, all right? So what you do to create volume, the impression of volume, the impression of perspective sometimes, and right here, probably the difference of the colors of the wood itself, it is the shape, the cross hatching, by filling up these areas with different kind of lines, right? Because you can do a very separate line which will seem lighter, or you can fill up with a lot of lines in the same area which will look darker. Here is a mid-tone, as you can see. So that's how you start to treat the hatches. And the first things about hatches is to look like that. It's like a screen tone, a mechanical stuff that you need to work with a rhythm and try to separate, keep the distance the same, and the thickness the same as well. So the best way to do that is use a very thin point to do the hatches, while you use a thicker point to do the lines. It will give you this difference. So draw the line, draw the overall shapes with a thicker pen, and then when you do the cross hatching, you use a thinner pen. All right. Talking about this a little, I use this Copic multiliners. They have a range of thicknesses, 0.3, 0.1. You can also have a 0.2, sometimes a 0.5, you know, here 0.7. So yeah, the 0.7 is like this. The 0.3 will look like this. It's failing because probably the ink is almost finishing, and the 0.1 will be the thinner. So this one will be the hat for the hatches, and this one probably for the overall lining work, and this one you can use for the shades, where you can, like this, put more thickness when the shades are darker. All right. You can also have the same thing with the Oniball, like it's a ballpoint pen, gel pen. So yeah, this is a ultra micro, so it's probably 1.5, and you can find somewhere else, like this is another ballpoint pen, gel pen. This is probably that 0. Yeah, the cap is 0.28. So you probably do the hatches with this and the lines with the 0.5. You can also find this kind of stuff in, like, this is a Lamy. It's a writing pen. It's a fountain pen. This has a different, you can have different line work. This is the fine. I saw online that they have the medium, which will be thicker, and the extra fine, which I don't have, unfortunately. But what I do have is another fountain pen. This is the Preppy Platinum. So you can see it's a finer line. You can even make it finer drawing the opposite way. So with the same pen you have two different thickness, but this is something that you can do only with a fountain pen, like drawing this way and drawing this way. So sometimes you can have with, let's see, probably the Lamy does the same. Yeah, it does. The Lamy's, yeah. Fountain pens are very delicate and you need to treat them well. You can also use this, which is a brush pen. This one is a Pentel brush pen, Pentel Pocket. It's been in my pencil case for a while, so it's all erased. But it's a Pentel and it's rechargeable. You can get the refills. You need a refill actually. But you can have with one two different thicknesses, so you can do the cross hatching if you have, but you need to have a very high control, very controlled hand, because it will, just a little pressure, it will be a thicker line. It can be so good. You can probably, I bought this in a store back in Brazil. I don't know if you can find here, but these make very thin lines. It got an accident and another brush pen just leak inside my pencil case. So the same, like you can have very thick lines and then very thin lines. The thin lines, as I said, they are good for cross hatching, and the thicker lines, they are good for. This is completely different. This is like filling up an area with black, so it's completely shade black. So that's not going to there. And well, that's it for my. Yeah, you can also have this kind of brush pen. They call it signature pen. People used to sign because it, like, you, if you make pressure and go sideways, you can have this thick line and fill up entire area. But if you again have enough control, you can have a very thin line. This paper is not good because it bleeds so much, but I think you can get it. And this one is a medium point. You eventually can find a thinner one or thicker one, depending. But it also depends on how much control do you have in your hand. So to avoid kind of stuff, like controlling so much, to be quicker, I will use the technical pen. You can find these ones. This is a rechargeable one. You can put the ink inside and when it's over, but you can find the ones, you can find sets of 5, sometimes 10. You can find some sets of black, brown, sepia, and sometimes red and blue. But let's start. So let's start how? Let's start working as I said, like a screen tone. So probably this area around here, which is as a different of the wood, it will be darker. So we start like this. So this, sometimes you get this problem, like doing longer lines. It will be nice, but you start to spread them around too much, so you have to come back and fill up. You also can, like, if you want to, do shorter lines in like layers, but it tends to leave this kind of irregularities and it may get in the way. You can have like an entire area like this. This is darker, so it'd be easier to get it off, but like make it work when you do something like this, because it will be darker, so you will layer and layer another pass of hatches over and over again until you get the right tone, like here. So as you can see, just by using a thinner line maker, a pen, a technical pen, or maybe a fountain pen, it already starts to make a difference. When you put against the thicker line, using a thinner to do the cross hatching against the thicker, when you do the line work, it will make a difference. That's what she didn't do. She probably used the same pen, and here's the pen seems to fail, like, because she didn't press too much. But you can see that make completely difference. So let's see here. Yeah, this would be a nice example. Yeah, you can cover an entire area, like when you're covering with graphite or a tone of, I don't know, charcoal, and then you can cross hatch 9 degrees, but it looks like a thread of cloth. In many ways, I rather do a less a shorter degree, maybe a smaller degree, like just tilt a little bit of the sheet if you can. If you can, just need to like this. So when you cross it, they will seem almost parallel, almost. All right, and it will look more natural, and it will eventually easier to cover any irregularity that you may leave when you're cross hatching. And this is excellent for organic shading. Organic, I mean skin and cloth as well. But as opposite that I say, this looks like a cloth thread, but it looks not natural, and in my opinion looks not professional when it comes to artist cross hatching. I've been seeing a lot of comic book artists doing cross hatching, and it's quite hard to find some very good ones, because people that, especially the ones who are starting, they tend to cross hatch 9 degrees like this, and it's not easy. I've seen few illustrators that can do that, but they use line screen tones, and they layer many layers of it, and then start to work with defined, very cut areas, very defined cut areas. So that's it. So the other thing, so the first two things from now: using a thinner line to do the crosshatch. Don't, or avoid, do 2 layers hatching by 90 degrees. So like this. Try to be as more parallel as it can do. Eventually you will be 90 degrees from the first one, but there will be so more layers before it that you won't even notice, and it will be so dark that it's okay, right? So that's the cross hatching stuff, right? So again, other thing, like she did one thing, she drew a line here when it was supposed to be a light here. So when you draw a line, it means shade, all right? So every time shade, or in case of a picture like that, is a change of the plane, it's very easy to see here in the eye, and you have a plane facing up against the opposite way of the light, so it gets darker. So, and then you have a round shape here in the volume of the eye itself, and then here you have a round shape. See, when you have, yeah. So I'm starting to go to the next subject right here, but I will hold on until I say what it is. And like here you may have a tone because it's not bright. So yeah, start doing here. You can like here give a small marks just to guide you, but when it comes to give light here, same tone, what you do is not drawing the lines. So every time you were reproducing a lighter tone or you were reproducing a highlight, you avoid to leave the mark in the area. So here it's darker, and here's even darker. So what I was about to say, that next subjective final tip that I can give to her about crosshatching is using the crosshatching as a contour line, cross contour line actually. What it is, a cross contour line. Imagine here that it's obvious by the how the shade forms that this is a round shape. Like it comes, you have the side plane and you have the front plane, and then so you can say that it does like this. Like came from the side, turns here, and then come and then turns here, forward to the bridge of the nose, and then come back again. So this is a cross contour line, and you can map to practically all the forms, right? Here it's very nice because you have this here, and then here, here, here. So you can do your cross hatching using the contour lines as a hatch. It enhances some way the form itself, the 3D form itself. So you may layer down a tone like from all this, let me darker shade, the darker wood actually, and I don't know, define here. You see how the different color follows the form. It's almost the same way that we use. So let's do it here, around here. So you have this first shade, first tone that will make the difference between the dark wood and the light wood. So all this area, it's like that. So as the first tone, keep all the hatches the same distance between them, the same. See that I am make them fail because I'm not applying too much pressure to the pen, right? Just a curiosity, people said, how can I match one crosshatch into another like that? The trick is to look into the target. Like when you lay the pen down, your eye will go when you want to match. So you meet the end of the other, and it will make the difference a little lighter and easier to hide. So that's it. And then now when you're going to get darker, you use the the cross contour as a shade. So even here, when it's almost 90 degrees, it helps because it's following the volume, right? And you can even be safe with a 9 degrees cross hatching if you follow the shape. You can even follow like this. See? Okay. it builds up the volume. Here. Okay. You can even do smaller strokes following the contour. For me it's easier to do like this because I do an arch with my wrist and meets the form. Yeah. So that's it. I won't stand too much because the objective here is just to give some hints how you, in case Pili, can enhance the work. I was doing the following the contour lines here and here. So I hope Pili can send me second version of her drawing, and then we can compare. I probably will put this online, post it, both versions, the before and the after, with this video, or anytime close one to the other, and then we can compare the difference. So it's sometimes almost magical how a little tip about what material you use, how to hold sometimes the material, how to apply just a different angle can make such difference in how you finish the work. And I'm really looking forward to see how Pili and everyone that asks for my help, for my critique, can improve themselves, improve their work with just a few critiques. Okay, I hope you enjoy it, and I won't do any editing in this video. This will be a live video record, and I hope this is the first one of a few that I do, because it's been a while since I don't teach anything, and well, I gave some tips to my classmates, but and I really miss too much teaching people and encourage them and encourage them to enhance and to improve their abilities. Okay, thank you so much. See you next time.